go. Recording in 3, 2, 1. There we go. Hello, Machiko. Good morning from
Hello,
Tokyo.
Cynthia.
How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm very,
Yeah.
very happy, and thank you so much for accepting the invitation.
Oh, it's
It's
my
been
pleasure.
it's been really amazing talking with friends all over the world in different
Mm.
languages and feeling that even though we have different circumstances, everybody's facing this, and I rather hear from my friends than from the media.
Ah, yeah, that's very true. Media can be really depressing,
Yes,
repeating the same things all the time and just numbers of death toll, and it's just like, oh gosh.
yes,
Of
yes,
course, it means a lot. I mean, to because they all have families and friends
sure.
themselves. Yeah, but it's we just need more hopeful news online. Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought. So I'm bringing hopeful news with my friends.
Yeah, or at
So
least joyful anyway.
yes, a little bit of a laugh. We need that.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah.
so I wanted first. Would you like to introduce yourself? You're my
Yes,
very talented friend.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I'm Machiko, and I met you through the SGI Buddhist training course that happened. When was that? How many
Four
years ago?
years ago. 4 years
Oh,
ago already.
4 years ago.
I
Wow,
know,
that's
difficult to believe because I get younger by the day.
yeah, yeah. Yes, aren't we all? Aren't we all?
Yes, I know. You too.
Yes, yes, I met you then, and we have been in contact ever since. And I basically work doing interpreting and mostly translations from English
Yes.
to Japanese and Japanese to English, especially in the field of entertainment.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that bit in a second. And so I want to thank you on behalf of, I think, half of Europe, because every time we go to a training course in Japan, you are the voice that connects us to the people and the events and gives us also very nice advice every time and how to discover be it Tokyo or any other region we're going to. So thank you, Machiko. I'm sure many of our SGI friends around the world will see this video and it
Oh,
will bring back hopeful and warm memories. And that's what we want to do here.
that's very nice of you to say. I really miss the SGI training courses that we've been having, and we haven't obviously had it ever since COVID, but
Yes,
I'm sure we will be able to have you back in Japan
you can bet that we'll
in
meet
the
again
close
and
future.
we'll chant at the Daisedo together. Uh,
Yes,
yes.
absolutely.
Good. And
Yeah.
so, can you please tell us a little bit about how the situation has been in Japan? Because we don't
Yeah.
know a lot about that.
Yeah. Well, actually, Japan had its first state of emergency in April last year. And up
2020.
on,
Yeah.
yeah, 2020. And up until then, we were quite free in moving around. We had very low cases of COVID,
Hmm.
and everything was kind of manageable. So we kind of were thinking that it's going to end pretty soon.
Right.
Wrong. But
Yeah.
yeah, because by law, uh, the government cannot order the lockdown,
Right.
complete lockdown, like things that's been happening overseas, including Europe.
Yeah.
And so we've been asked to stay home as much as possible,
Yes.
work from home as much as possible, and to keep the number of people and number of times going outside for like shopping the necessities, including food, groceries, etc. And
Very limited.
they're very limited. And also the schools have been shut down. And because most schools weren't ready for the online um, classes.
Transition.
Um, yeah. So the students had really hard time themselves as well, I'm sure. And so everything just kind of like was mind blocking.
Yes.
And yeah. And
Same
things,
situation in Europe and South America, as far as I'm concerned,
yeah.
which is my point in, okay, the circumstances might be different, but as human beings, we are experiencing exactly the same thing.
Mm, mm, mm.
Phenomenal all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, when things really kind of hit that it was a really, really serious illness,
Yes.
is when the sort of like nationally famous comedian died from it
All
last
right.
April. And
Okay.
it was all of a sudden, it was like he had COVID. It was on the news and everything. And then the next, well, within a week or two, he died of
Right.
COVID. Um,
And that was a
and
shock to the system for everybody.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it was because he was really popular guy, and he was loved by many, and so everything kind of like, wow, this is really serious. There's no exception. People can die from COVID, and of course, there had been some people dying from COVID until
Yeah.
then, but that's when it really hit the nation.
Right.
Um, quite seriously. And well, anyway, we had this, we're in now the third state of emergency. Now we've had first state of emergency, then the second stage of emergency,
Yes.
and now this is the third one. And because we have this Olympics issues
Yes.
included, they're still discussing if they're going to hold Olympics, if
Yeah.
they
Yes.
should be holding Olympics. And last year they said that they're going to extend the dates, but this year it seems like they can't say that they're going to extend the Olympics again, and the IOC is adamant in saying that they are going to be holding Olympics, whether there will be any sort of people watching it or not,
Yes.
live. So I think they will be holding Olympics by having this kind of safe bubbles for
For
the athletes.
the
And
athletes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But they're still under discussion. Then,
And they're
which,
also there, but how can you hold bubbles sometimes with contact sports?
yeah,
I don't.
exactly. That's like, yeah. So it's like lots of PCR testing and
Yes.
and things like that. But which is easy to say, but I think it's harder to get it actually
Yes.
done properly.
Yeah, it's a little. So, and I really don't know what the answer is because on the one hand,
Mm,
we need culture and entertainment, and we
yeah,
need the institution of the Olympic Games, to
yeah,
remain stable because this is
yeah.
how history goes. But on
Yeah.
the other hand, people are being exposed then to a true health risk. So I don't know
Mm,
where the answer lays. As with many of the different stages of these last 15 months, I
mm,
I I very often needed to go back to myself
mm,
and just kind of filter the information and decide what's true for me and how to apply the advice or the official rules or and I've been very very strict in respecting all the measures
mm,
and
mm,
but have tried during and it was allowed to go out at least once a week for a walk in the park and when
mm,
body and health allowing twice a week just to get in touch with nature and breathe because
mm,
it's been
mm.
really tough. How has it been for you?
Um, because we're only asked to stay in as much as possible, I try to, well, take a breather once in a while. I can work from home. That's fine because I've got all the translation. Of course, there hasn't been no interpreting, because we haven't been having any visitors or anything. But in most, and you know, it's okay for me to go get out and work and everything, but some people, they, because they're online, or actually their way of their work is
Yeah.
handled, they cannot stay at home and do their work. They have to go out.
Yeah.
And actually, there are quite a lot, still quite a lot of people who go out and work in Japan, because some of the companies, they don't have a very good online system, or
Yeah.
some companies don't want to have um, their company data brought home
Yes.
for security reasons,
Yes.
obviously. Um,
It was
so,
the case here as well, but they had no choice. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So because we have choice, you know, in that sense, I think there has been a very low, well, the first not the lockdown, state of emergency, people tended to stay at home more, but the second and the third state of
A bit less.
emergency
A
hasn't
bit less.
really given any effect on people's movement on their daily lives.
But the numbers in Japan, how are they looking like? I don't know. Is it stable? Is
Um, the bigger cities, they have a lot of number of people who are infected. Actually, my cousin and his wife was infected, and I didn't know until like a few days ago. I'm like, what? It really scared me. But he told me that he was hospitalized for almost 3 weeks, and his wife for two. Yeah, and but I'm thankful that they survived this ordeal. And but it's kind of like really, really, really gets scary when someone very close to you
you?
um,
Yes.
gets infected. But anyway, what was I talking about? And this
It was
memory
about
loss.
no, but it's to the point, because how have you experienced this? And you were saying, so this was the description of work and distant work or remote work and
Mm,
movement of people. But for you, what
mm.
happened with the entertainment industry during this all these
Oh,
states of emergency?
it completely
Stopped.
went.
Mm.
Yeah,
Wow.
nothing.
Yes.
It's like nothing was happening. um Especially after the first state of emergency, everything was out. And so no people came from the overseas to perform. Obviously, there was no performance taking place in Japan. The theater, concerts, everything, any kind of event never took place, including sports. And it was, then again, we didn't know what this virus was like.
Yeah.
We didn't have much information on the virus in the first case, so it's quite understandable. But in the second and the third lockdown, there was kind of a more lenient kind of ways of having handling things. Like they
Yeah.
could have like up to 5,000 people in one event, with physical distancing between the
Oh,
audience and etc. And then also the cinemas opened as well, because people don't really blabber during the watching movies, and so
yeah.
there was a less sort of risk in contaging the virus at the cinema. But in the third lockdown, things have changed again, because the cinemas hasn't opened.
All right.
And yeah, and but the state of emergency has been sort of announced in like major sort of what we call prefectures. It's like a state.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's like in Tokyo, Osaka, and some other cities, Nagoya. So it's more sort of like, it depends on where you live.
Right.
If they're more popular, well, if the
Yeah,
population is
urban
densely
areas, of course.
populated.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They have a more tendency of being in the state of the emergency, but otherwise, some other prefectures they are sort of like under control. Um, the hospitals can still handle the number of patients, so that's okay. But in the bigger cities, they have very limited number of beds available. Um, in and I think it was last and towards the end of last month or maybe the beginning of this month, the death toll reached 10,000 people in
Wow.
Japan.
Wow.
Yeah, of course it's lower than some of the other countries
Sure.
across the world, but still is
It's
over 10,000
10,000
people.
lives. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
in
exactly.
Belgium. It's really, yeah, it's really, really difficult. So, how have you experienced this period? Because I saw personally that you found beauty in small things because the pictures you posted on Facebook are really beautiful. So, I know you were posting pictures before COVID because I've been following, but I think something has changed in the way you look at things. Maybe I'm wrong. Just, I don't know. What you're feeling?
No, I enjoy taking lots of photos of flowers and, sunsets, nature, um, some little things outside, like odd shoes laying on the ground out of nowhere. uh, those are the kind of things that kind of catch my eyes. But surely these kind of beauty around us, I try to pick up these kind of beauty that actually has been around us, but give it more attention these days because there's so much that we can concentrate on, like more, well, not morbid, but sad things, especially on the news. We haven't got very much joyful news. It's like an ambulance going around,
Yes, I
but
know. Yeah.
um, but yeah, by sort of like bringing your sort of like
Focus or
focus on something else that can bring some happiness in one's life is something I try to do. Not, well, of course, for myself, but for others as well.
well, many
Because,
of your pictures have brightened up my day, so I say thank you.
I'm glad
It's
to hear.
it's a very sharp eye, huh? Machiko, very sharp eye, because we can feel this, and it's true in some small things that we take for granted and we don't stop to, feel grateful for that. And I think one of the
Mm,
ways in which it's possible to overcome all these difficult times is, yeah, by focusing on being grateful for what we have. Because
mm,
personally, I felt that the rhythm of life and the way things were going wasn't very conducive
joyful.
to yeah, to fulfillment and joy in the world. It was just a
Mm,
race, and it wouldn't stop. And this has stopped time,
mm,
and which can be very hard sometimes because it confronts you.
mm.
But at the same time, I think it's an opportunity for change.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And there were also happy moments as well because I don't know whether this was caused by because of COVID, but I was able to get back in touch with my high school friends
Yes.
from UK,
Oh
and like
wow.
some of them I haven't like spoken or seen them for over 30 years, and I'm like, what? It's
Oh,
just so
fantastic.
yeah, like I have been in contact with some of the friends, yeah, throughout the years.
Yeah,
Um, my friends used to tell me that I was a linchpin for some of the others as well because they say that they live in the same country, but they never sort of like
yeah, I
really
know.
um, until I go and visit and I try to have a reunion and things like that. So, but these were the friends that I haven't been in touch because I didn't have any contact address or number or anything
Yeah.
since I left school. So I was really happy to get connected with these friends again, and
Wow.
it's just like, this WhatsApp group is like, I because I live 9 hours or 8 hours ahead of most of the
Yeah.
people, most of my friends. I wake up to like 300 something messages,
Messages.
unread messages, and things like that.
This is amazing because after Japan,
Yeah.
when more or less a year after Japan, when I came back to Belgium, one friend from primary school, whom I hadn't seen in 35 years, got in
Wow.
touch from Argentina.
Oh,
And since
wow.
then, so we created this WhatsApp group, and I went back after 20 years, but I
Yeah.
hadn't seen them for 35, and we had a reunion. And we
Ah,
also have this group with, we are now 5 hours apart, and I also wake up to the messages. Well, they wake up to my messages, and then during daytime, when I'm working, at
yeah.
the end of the day, I see the hundreds of men, but it's beautiful. It's
Yeah,
beautiful to connect back with friends.
yeah, absolutely. And the support that we have for each other is
Yes,
really
yes.
incredible. And yeah, and I used to stay in a boarding school, so that makes us like
Yeah,
this,
even closer. Yes,
yeah, closer to each other. And this is just so amazing, and it's like having that closeness once again online.
yes.
Of course, we're sort of like buggered because we can't actually see each other
Each
soon.
other. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Although we would love to, but there's always something to look forward to. Now that once COVID's over, let's sort of like
Travel again.
travel again and have a reunion and things like that. So
Wow. And
yeah.
has it brought back, like for me, it's the case, I assume it's the case for you too, part of your identity back, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like you try to be strong and you try to be sort of like, be myself, my usual self as
Self.
much as
Yes.
possible. Yeah, but there are times when you're just too tired of like being strong. If you know what I
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So whenever I'm having a hard time and I just had a bad day kind of thing, and you just sort of like say it, and then you just get loads of like supporting messages over and over again, and we love you and that kind of thing. So
Yes,
it's like yes, it's such a comfort to have those kind of group of friends who
yes.
just accept you as you are, and
And they
and
know you, they really know you because they know
yeah,
you from, the
yeah,
time
yeah,
when
yeah,
you were building yourself up. And so,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's very
And
moving.
yes, it's very moving, and it's funny how people's traits don't actually change that much.
It's true. And we thought we weren't who we were going to be, but actually we were already who we are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's just like people's personality don't change that easily, and and traits, and of course like the characteristics. It's just so funny
It's
sometimes.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. Sometimes it took some time for me to connect the images of, these primary school friends to
Mm,
these adults who are now parents or professionals or yeah,
mm.
and but you still see kind of the little faces are in there somewhere, huh?
Yeah, 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 exactly, exactly. And you're after 35 odd years of not knowing each other, you're also discovering the new
Yeah,
side of your friends as
exactly,
well. Yeah,
exactly.
so,
And of
yeah,
yourself, I mean, at the
yeah,
same
yeah,
time.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
wow, it's
yeah.
really nice. So friendship can really be, I think, very comforting in these tough times, and reaching out to friends and supporting one another is really
Mm,
nice. And Machiko, do you feel a difference between cultures as well? Because I had that. And after many
mm,
years in, the north of Europe, we're going to say where Belgium is, to
Yeah.
get back to my culture that's very warm and people tell you things and but maybe the British is formal but maybe less formal than Japanese.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's very different, culture-wise. You know, it's like really easy to say I miss you, I love you, that kind of thing,
Yeah,
to the Western culture. I'll say Western culture,
yeah,
in general. But Japanese people tend to keep quiet about those kind of things. It's like, of course we love them and respect them and everything, but it's not really mentioned. I don't know whether that's a virtue or not, but you know, I don't know. It's like there is kind of a dual life in a way,
yeah,
if you know what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah.
It's not like I'm having two different characteristics, but it's sort of different side of
It's
me.
a different way of expressing what you
Yeah,
feel.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Wow.
So sometimes I miss those Western culture when I can be more open about everything, and it's just. But at the same time, I also do appreciate the virtue of sort of like, staying calm about things. And
And a little bit of restraint. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly. That
Amazing.
like silence is a virtue kind of thing at times. Yeah, but no, but I think um I really appreciate the sort of the Western culture more in these hard times of COVID, if you know what I mean. It's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
comparing and everything, but yeah, it's
I think
easier
it's
to.
really nice you can have the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
really nice.
Um, yeah, it's really nice, and it's really different, really,
Yeah.
really different.
Yeah, I know. So
Yeah,
we need to, but the world has become this, now more
yeah,
and more people are experiencing what we had with our own lives, that,
yeah.
there are different aspects of who we are as human beings that connect with different cultures, but
Mm,
there's so much common ground that
mm,
I believe, we can support one another and we can build peace. That's so
yeah,
necessary.
yeah, exactly.
So I think we are living examples that, there's good in people and we can build good things when we
Yeah.
connect heart to heart. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. And you can learn a lot from each other as well,
Yeah.
through dialogues and things. It's like, you know, how to reach out, for example.
Yes.
People reach out in different ways, and, sometimes it can be really sort of like a new way of approach
Yes.
for oneself in some
Yeah.
ways.
Wow.
So it's like learning process at the same time.
Mhm.
So it's really been really meaningful in many ways on many different levels, and also it really connects to my own personal growth, I think, in a way, by sort of mingling with many people as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also for people who don't have an international background, the same also applies, that you can reach out to your friends
Mm,
even if you haven't seen them for a long time. It's a
yeah.
good time to show interest in knowing how people are,
Mm,
and thanks to technology we can do that. And so
yes.
even if we haven't seen somebody for a long time, we can inquire about their well-being and connect,
Mm,
and then just open your life a little bit, towards others, and
mm,
to this sense of community that's so very
mm,
important, because it's part of who we are as human beings, I believe. And
mm,
this time of these pandemic times have also revealed that we are people of community and that we can
mm.
support one another, I think.
Um, Definitely, because not even being able to see one's neighbors is kind of really distressing.
Yeah.
It's like, you have been sort of like, been in touch with people, the members of SGI and things around your neighborhood. Even those kind of little things had actually been a real comfort to oneself without your knowledge. But COVID came, but and having those kind of opportunities being taken away, it really has been,
Highlighted their importance. Yeah.
yeah, highlighted the importance. Actually, exactly. It's so it was really eye-opening in many ways as
Wow.
well. Yeah, the little things that you appreciate, it's not just, and things that you really took for granted. um
Yes.
yeah, yeah, it are the things that you really appreciate. Yeah, and
And so, and so I wanted to ask you then, has anything changed in you and in your decisions about how you want to live your life towards the future?
hmm, that's a really good question. um in a way, of course, I want to become a better person. Um, Not in a way I want to become a better person, but
In all
uh,
possible ways.
and I want to become a better person. But also, I don't want to change as well, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like,
to keep the essence of who you are.
yes, exactly. So it's kind of like a balance between the two. It's like maybe evolution is a very good way
Yes.
to express how I want to change. Um, and that is kind of like, well, we say human revolution.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and that human revolution doesn't necessarily have to be a really big one. It's like little small changes can also be sort of like said as human revolution, and that is the evolution as well of oneself. So I think also being nice to yourself also becomes important because people can be really hard on oneself. It's like because they have high expectations of yourself, but you can't reach that. But so you just sort of feel down about it and things like that. But you have to also accept the process to reaching that level as well. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, and
So it's
in order to do
this
that,
inner transformation to become kind of a better version of yourself.
yeah, exactly, better version of oneself from today to tomorrow. That kind of like process. It keeps going and going, but you also have to accept yourself that you are in the process of making that changes, and you just sort of have to accept the fact that um, you are making that process, and you can be kind to yourself and whilst making that process,
Yeah.
and not be too harsh on oneself, and
Yeah.
of course that applies to others as well.
Yeah, because I think as long as you're making efforts, what you're saying is you are in this process of transformation. So even though if sometimes you don't see the result immediately, don't
Mm,
give up because the fact that
mm,
you keep on trying is part of the transformation, right?
yeah, that's right, exactly.
So I think in these difficult times we can do that. We can just be good to ourselves, not be too critical, and start again every day anew. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and
And
have chocolate.
good piece of advice. And Machiko, how's the vaccination situation in Japan? So
Ah,
my mom, my sister, and myself here in Belgium, we got the first shot, and
mm,
the second one is scheduled for before the end of June. And
mm,
most of yeah, one generation up, I'll say, from us in Argentina, most of them have gotten the first shot, but my generation not yet.
Mm,
And
mm.
how's the situation in there?
They've started the vaccination from this month for people who are older than 75 years old now, and those who are also in the medical community. So it's like doctors,
Yeah,
nurses.
frontline workers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you told me
They
it's
got
the
the vaccination
Pfizer.
first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
Pfizer. Okay.
yeah. So they got vaccinated first, and now they are starting on the elderly people who are 75 years old and older.
Yes.
And so it was just like a week ago when I was booking my sort of like the vaccines for my parents. And obviously there are so many people who want, but there's only limited number of vaccinations available. Of course it's coming. They keep on coming, but people just want to rush and get it
Yeah.
done as
It's
soon
a
as
slow
possible.
process, is it not?
Yeah,
Because it's
yeah,
worldwide. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So your
So
parents, you have scheduled their first shot, right?
yeah, my mom's scheduled for June 1st and my dad's for June 4th, the first one.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You got there.
Yeah, we got there. I was so like distressed at the first time because I was trying to book on internet, and we had this sort of like numbers, ID numbers and
Yeah.
password. And my mom, it was fine. My dad, it was like, I was locked out because I had wrong password or ID number, which
Right.
can't be right because I was like copy and pasting the numbers. And I was like, I was really under distress for a
Yeah.
whole day.
Yeah.
But the next day I rang the place, and I did actually manage to book my dad's COVID vaccine. So that was okay. But and now the system has changed for the area we're living in. That's in Shinjuku. We don't have to go online for the second booking. They're just gonna book the next vaccine on the spot once they get the first vaccine now. So I think that saves a lot of distress
Yeah.
for many many people, especially the elderly people. um, yeah. So, and like elderly people, they're having hard time doing it, even the booking, because they
Yeah.
can't book in online. All they can sort of rely on is phone, and they never get connected. And, so it was a lot of stress. So there are so many sort of like people, well, in the metropolitan government, trying to work out how the best way
Yeah.
to work
To speed
things
up
out,
the process.
speed up the process, and make things easier for people, more accessible to people.
In here,
Um,
when you book your first shot, you immediately get confirmation for the second.
oh, you
So
do? Oh, yeah.
you receive an email via email or a text message, a document
Mm,
where you have confirmation for the appointment you've just made,
all
plus
right.
automatically the second shot. So
Oh,
you
okay.
already know. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
but
good.
it took a long time also for this to be, operational, and it had
Oh,
also a couple of glitches along the way. But I
yeah.
got my appointment on 3rd May for the 3rd of May.
Mm,
Very nice day where I got my shot.
yeah, very nice.
And I at the same time I got the appointment for the end of June for the second shot
All right.
at the same center. So
Yeah.
there you
Mm,
go. So
yeah. So for people who are above 65, I think they're getting their notice and
yes,
the sort of like a ID number for booking on 20th of May. They're going to get mailed. I mean, post snail mail.
yeah,
Yeah. And so that would start their booking from, well, after they receive that kind of mail on well posted. And so that's like 60 over 65. So we don't know what's happening for the people in the age of 50s or 40s or 30s or 20s.
Yeah.
Uh, maybe we're thinking that maybe it's around September if we get lucky, but I doubt that we can get it in September.
I think
I
it's the same all over the world because
Yeah,
every country is trying to get the vaccines and production takes a time and then to set up a system for millions of people to
yeah,
get vaccinated. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's really tough. But I hear I don't know in Japan, but in Belgium there's quite a large number of people who don't want to get vaccinated. Is that the
Really?
case in Japan?
Well, there are some people who are pretty sort of ambiguous about
Yeah.
getting vaccinated. Um, but for probably a good reason. It's not that they don't believe that the virus exists or anything like that. But it's not like conspiracy theory kind of ways of rejecting vaccines. But some people are really careful about the vaccines because in the past we've had some problems with the vaccines um, way before my day, and that's why they
Yeah,
have been reluctant
they're
in
resistant. Yeah.
yeah in manufacturing vaccines to begin with.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
But
so
that was my question because the Eastern, we're going to say, way of life is more natural medicine and understanding the oneness of body and mind. So I
mm,
don't know how culturally uh,
mm,
Japan accepts vaccination or not.
yeah. Well, we do have flu vaccines every year,
All
and
right.
but it's not compulsory or anything. I personally don't receive flu vaccines because
Yeah,
I think that I can keep away flu by just washing hands and
yeah.
gargling every
I
day every
agree
time
with
I come
you.
back
I
from
do the
outside.
same. Yeah,
Yeah. So and actually I haven't been, had flu in like decades now. So it's fine. But things like COVID, I think it is necessary and especially because it's deadly for some people. Yeah. So I'd rather sort of like have some fever or feel dull from the vaccine rather than actually having COVID. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think, well, it really depends on people's how they value things as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, weighing out which is better or what is better
That's
in
it.
this.
I think it's really this time is so crucial in us understanding that you need to trust your inner wisdom, that you need to
Mm,
call upon that and make decisions based on what feels right for your life
mm, mm.
every step of the way, right?
Yeah, exactly. I have a old lady who's a member, and she's had a violent reaction to vaccination for what do you call it? Pneumonia.
Yes,
Yeah, and so she doesn't want to receive vaccine, but that's a really
I
good
can
reason.
understand. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
understand because it's for her lungs. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So, you know, things like that. It's just how you can decide for yourself and not really be swayed by things around you or people around you or
yeah.
whatever. But I think in general, Japanese people abide by the rules and like wearing masks all the
Yeah.
time and
It's part of the
yeah,
culture as well. Yeah.
part of the
Here
culture as
we had
well.
to overcome that. It's been very difficult living with masks, but yeah, we adapt to everything, don't we? And so
Yeah.
you mentioned Shinjuku, and I just want to go back. I want to go back. Go and walk the streets of Shinjuku. Oh, please. Okay. We hope before 2030, I will be
Oh yeah.
there and we'll take a picture together, post it under
Sure.
this video.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that day.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with our friends from Europe and Japan and all over the world that hopefully will be watching this video?
Well, I just want to say that I miss everybody, and I miss having people from all over the world coming to Japan and greeting them and hosting them and sort of like, just being with them. There's so much to learn from, the friends all over the world. So I hope that there will be a day. Um, when I can welcome those friends back again in Japan, and also me going there as well.
Yeah,
And hope that that day will come by very, very soon.
so thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for accepting. Arigatou gozaimasu.
ありがとうございます。
See you very soon, Machiko. Take care. Please take
Yeah,
care
you
of
too.
yourself.
Take
Yes,
care.
will do. Bye.
Bye.